Welcome back to another episode of Meet the Lawmaker. We are joined this week with Congressman Gabe Vasquez representing New Mexico's 2nd District. And Congressman, to start off the interview, just tell us a little bit more about your district and the kinds of agriculture that are in it.
Of course. Well, first I want to say thank you for having me on the show today. I represent a district bigger than the state of Pennsylvania. We're also home to the chili capital of the world. And in fact, the Chili Pepper Institute at New Mexico State University measures the hottest chilies all across the globe, whether they're from India or from North America. We have a legacy in growing green and red chili. In fact, that is our state question, red or green. And our state answer is Christmas, because that means that you would like both, red and green. But we have a rich legacy in agriculture. Dryland farmers, primarily the Chihuahuan Desert is in my district, but we also have the beautiful Rio Grande that flows down and provides both the surface water and the opportunities for agricultural producers to make a living. Cotton, pecans, we've got so much to go for us. Dairies as well. So it's an interesting place, but not a lot of people associate southern New Mexico with being one of the largest producers of food for our country, but that's who we are.
So tell me a little bit more about what made you want to run for Congress.
Well, I think that because we have such a diverse district, and including urban areas like Albuquerque and Las Cruces, but we also have, we have 4 national forests in our district. We have 180 miles of the U.S.-Mexico border in our district. We have this incredible history of people and of culture and of food and food production as well. And so being able to represent a district that's this big requires you to show up. It requires you to understand what the issues are and be able to get out to all parts of your district. And for me, it's something that I've been doing for many years. As a hunter and an angler, I know some of the crooks and crannies and the arroyos and the montañas and the deserts of our district. And so it's a place that I deeply love and I'm connected to. And so I wanted to make sure that it had the right representation.
So how do you believe your experience growing up in the borderlands has aided you in your work on Capitol Hill and now on the House Ag Committee?
Well, my family originally is from Zacatecas, and we actually grew up on a small ranch in a place called El Remolino, which means the whirlwind. And Congress, honestly, has been kind of a whirlwind since we've been here. But my grandfather always had these agricultural roots. And in fact, when I was a kid, he would take me to these very small plots of land where he grew rabbits and he grew cotton and he grew onions, and they were all to feed our family. He had 10 kids, right? And so it wasn't just about going to the grocery store, it's about growing your own food. And so that connection that I have that was passed on from my grandfather is really important to me in terms of being able to represent this district, but it also tells a different story about the U.S.-Mexico border. It tells a different story about who we are as New Mexicans, that I think needs to be told here. And I think that's really, really critically important. And so all across, especially the southwest border, we have a lot of ranchers as well, a lot of cattle growers. And I've been talking to them for the last decade about some of the issues that they're facing. And there's a lot of unique things, whether it's, H-2A visa reform, whether it's, feral cattle, whether it's any number of issues that impact agricultural growers. It's really important that we have a representative that brings that perspective to the Ag Committee.
So a big issue that has gone round and round on Capitol Hill is the Farm Workforce Modernization Act. From your experience in New Mexico, can you speak to the challenges that still need to be overcome on border security and farm labor shortages?
Absolutely. Well, during the State of the Union, I brought an onion farmer from Array, New Mexico here named Del Gillis. And one of the things that we talked about was that his onion farms were being left to rot. We call it the pisca, which is basically the harvesting season. And he said, we can't find the workers anymore. We are in danger of losing our business, and we've invested millions of dollars into packaging equipment to make our business sustainable in the future, so that we're not only the growers, but we're also the packagers and the shippers. And now that we don't have the workers, it's really, really tough for us to survive. And so my participation on the bipartisan agricultural labor working group is to try to bring some of these issues to light. The fact is that our producers right now do not have the labor, and our current H-2A and H-2B visa programs are ineffective. We need to make sure that they work not just for certain people, but also the entire chain of agriculture production. And I think that includes also the people like the meat packers and also the dairy industry. Right? Dairy industry is huge in my district. In fact, I was just meeting with them today, and they said if we could get not just seasonal workers, but temporary workers that also have a path to citizenship, it's something that we would support. So I think we're going to come together to produce a report that is a bipartisan report to help guide Congress in potential legislation that's going to tell us essentially what the needs are and how we can meet the immigration crisis that we're also facing, to actually come up with common sense solutions that help Americans. At the end of the day, I think there's a way for us to meet together in the middle.
So as Congress gears up to write the next farm bill, what areas do you see need to be worked on? Well,
I think there's a lot, but first and foremost, I got to talk about food assistance programs. SNAP and WIC, TFAP are incredibly important to my district. We are one of the most food insecure states in the nation. And in fact, our children suffer from food insecurity at a much higher prevalence, much higher rate than most states in the country as well. And so not only does that help our families, because you have to have kids that are in school that have food in their bodies to be able to be successful, but also it's the producers. The producers who rely on these programs to also provide local school meals, to be able to provide food to things like the Las Cruces Farmers Market in my own community is really important. So it's both an economic development opportunity, it helps keeps our families fed, and that's really important. Another issue that I'm trying to bring up within the Agriculture Committee is the Wolf Act, and that's a bipartisan bill that we've introduced that helps provide 100% compensation for the depredation of livestock from the reintroduction of the Mexican gray wolf in my community. And that's something that it's important to our ranchers, our cattle growers. So we're trying to get that into the farm bill as well. And lastly, I'll just say conservation programs are so important. These voluntary conservation programs that ranchers and farmers rely on both need to be more accessible. Their funding levels need to be kept at least the same, if not increased, because they're currently oversubscribed, but also it helps combat climate change. Just right now, we've seen that Congress wants to defund climate hubs. We have one at the Jornada experimental range in my district. It's incredibly important that we use data and that we use science to be able to better understand how we're going to handle water shortages, adverse climate impacts and effects, things like wildfires, and how they're going to impact our Southwest communities. And so making sure that we have funding for research and development like climate hubs, really, really important in the Farm Bill.
So to kind of wrap up our conversation here, what advice do you have for your farmers who want to meet with you and advocate on certain issues?
Well, we just formed our agriculture advisory group in New Mexico that is comprised of not just producers, but also farm workers and of folks from all different parts of the agricultural industry. And we had Chairman G.T. Thompson just recently come and meet with our folks. And so the one thing I'd say is there are common sense solutions on the table, and the Agriculture Committee is one of the most bipartisan committees in Congress where people just want to get things done. We want to do good for our farmers, our ranchers, our agricultural producers and workers. And so I would encourage them to contact our office to let us know how we can help them. And we set up this advisory group just for this purpose. And again, it's not just the producers, it's also the farm workers, right? And I think we have to come together to find those solutions. So to those folks that want to contact our office and want to learn about the working group or want to be able to chat about the Farm Bill and the future of the Farm Bill, to contact our office. Vasquez.house.gov is our website. They can find us there, but that they have an ally and a supporter in Gabe Vasquez here in New Mexico's 2nd District.
Congressman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.